Yes, he was a model soldier. Yes, he went in as a boy and came back as a man, really, when he went off for his 6 weeks training. He had muscles on muscles. He loved the army, absolutely lived for it. Yeah, he was happiest when he was on tour, away. He liked the actual soldiering side of it.
He was attached to the household cavalry, where Prince Harry is, or was, an officer. And as part of his engineer role, he was attached as a forward reconnaissance unit. And during that tour, he would go out and locate IEDs.
While they're there, it's so intense because for 6 months, so you're constantly on alert and looking, because you don't know if the one step you take wrong, that's it. So the stress levels must be horrendous. They feel this guilt. That's what it is. It's called survivor's guilt. They have come back, but some of his friends didn't. And a particular incident, I think, really did shock. One of these village compounds was bombed, and Nathan had to go and help the villagers, with horrific injuries. They had to pick up the bodies and put them in wheelbarrows and take them, and obviously there was children amongst them. So I think that was one of the things that contributed. And Laney said when he came back for the second time, he was emotionless. I think he'd seen so much, he just didn't feel anything anymore.
When he was home on leave, and to get ready to come out into Civvy Street, because he was still a serving soldier, and he was due out in September this year, we encouraged him to buy a house in Lincoln, which he did. He used to come round to us every night for his meals, and it was like clockwork. Every 4 o'clock, he'd pull up in the car, sit down here, have a cup of tea. His mum would be making the dinner, and we'd sit there and have a chat and, whatever, and that was it. And then about 6 o'clock, he'd go home.
Nathan was on leave and we had Christmas. He went to his wife's for Christmas to see Megan. He then was going back up to Barnard Castle about 3 or 4 days after Christmas, but he only got sort of halfway and he had to turn round because of the snow was horrendous. But it must have been the last straw. We knew he hadn't slept for at least a week beforehand. And I think he was so frustrated because he couldn't get in to see Megan. Because I did see on Facebook, and it was only by chance because I'm the only one that did see this, he just said, "I'm a broken man." And with that, he closed all his Facebook accounts down.
On New Year's Eve, he came for his dinner as normal, showed no signs of any issues, no problems. Everything was hunky-dory. About 6:30, 7 o'clock, he said, right, he said, I'm off. He said, I'm feeling a bit knackered. He said, I just want to go home and have a kip. And we said, well, do you want to stay here tonight, and we'll have a few drinks with you? He said, no, he said, honest, I'm quite happy to go home. So off he went.
New Year's Day, he didn't turn up for his dinner, but we just thought, well, maybe he's finally fallen asleep, so we will leave him. By the next morning, I knew there was something wrong.
Come the 2nd of January, still never heard anything from him. No, wasn't replying to any texts, or anything. So we drove round there about 9:10 and put the key in the door, and the chain was on the door. And what gap I could see in the door, I could see his legs, and that was it. And we knew then that he'd obviously taken his own life. He was dead. He'd hung himself, basically.
heartbroken. Just absolutely heartbroken. And, yeah. I used to pride myself thinking that for 22 years when he was on tour, I used to listen, every time a car pulled up, I used to be up on the window. And I thought, I was so lucky to have him back after 22 years. Now for this to happen. He went to school with a lad, and he got blown up. And I used to think, God, it must be awful for his mother, thinking, you know, how lucky I was. And I've still lost him anyway.
So we are convinced that he killed himself on New Year's Eve or on the stroke of midnight, because that's what the coroners and the post-mortem have said, you know, tracing his death back in the hours. So the day he left here was the day he decided he was going to take his own life.
Well, I wouldn't want my grandchildren to go into the army. And that comes from someone that loved the army, you know. But I think the government has treated them terribly.
It's changed our life forever. It'll never be the same, you know, between any of us.
We won't let him have died in vain.
Him and all the others that have gone after him. Another warrior gone to suicide, Craig, well, I won't mention his name because obviously served with the household cavalry in the tours of Iraq. Sad to say, he, like so many, didn't reach out and was forgotten by so many he served and sacrificed for. Rest in peace. There's another one gone.